I just told her I was gonna. I just told her I was gonna. Hello, everyone. Just not tuning in. Welcome to Let's Talk About It. I'm trying to add Jalen. Don't know what's going on. Hello, everyone. Just now joining. Welcome to Let's Talk About It. This is episode 6. I am waiting to add Jalen before we get started. Let's try this one more time. Hello. Welcome, everybody. As you guys keep joining, welcome.
Okay.
Hey.
Oh, there was so much going on, Lord. Okay.
Let me fix I feel like my head is cut. Okay, there we go. Hello.
Oh. Hey.
How
this
are
is
you?
a struggle. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome everybody to Let's Talk About It. I'm gonna give it a few more minutes before we get started. Jalen, what I wanted to start doing with us is while we wait those first couple minutes for people to join, for us to kind of talk a little bit. So how was your week last week?
Whew. Weeks have been a struggle, honey, but I have been making it through. So that's it. How was your week?
As you know, mine has also been a struggle. So we apologize for canceling last week, you guys. I just wasn't in this space. I had a couple of personal struggles going on and I just couldn't do it. But we're back. And part of that is why we have the episode that we have today. To talk about communication and just, how to deal when you're going through stuff and how to deal with it. Is basically why we're doing the episode we're doing today, which is we're talking about communication and apology languages, which we will get into.
Absolutely. What? I can't even see what time it is.
8:04. Let's start in about one more minute and then we'll start. Okay, let's get started, Jayla. Okay, one more time. Everybody here, welcome to Let's Talk About It. Today we'll be talking about communication and apology languages. Everybody knows when we talk about communication, it's such a cliche that we hear communication is key, right? And with everything, and communication is so important, and it's the most important thing we need with all our relationships, personal, family, friends, and professional, of course. So with all that being said, we're going to talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Yes, let's talk about it. If you think you are a good communicator, all that good stuff, we're going to talk about it. If you are watching this, you guys know that we like to interact with you all. The questions that me and Jalen ask each other, you guys can feel free to answer in the comments. We will respond to you. We love interacting with you guys. If you are watching this and this live is over, you can go back and comment and we will come back and interact with you after the live is over.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. So let's start.
Okay.
What do you think good communication means? What does that mean to say I have good communication skills?
So for me, good communication is listening to understand, not to respond. I think that's the biggest thing. And a lot of times that's where miscommunication comes in because someone is talking to you and you're just waiting to give your response, whether it's good communication or if you're arguing with someone, you're just waiting for your chance to speak. And sometimes we miss the important factors that someone is speaking because you're so anxious to respond. So I think good communication is knowing that you need to listen and understand what the person is trying to communicate to you before you respond.
Absolutely. I would honestly say the same. Listening to understand, instead of listening to respond, like you just said. Also, being able to express yourself clearly. I think sometimes when we are frustrated and we're in different emotions, it could be hard for us to communicate exactly how we're feeling. Sometimes you may say things, everybody getting offended off what you're saying, you ain't communicating it effectively.
Right.
So just being able to listen, express yourself clearly, those type of things, I think is good communication.
So now that we have our definitions, do you think that you are a good communicator?
Yes. I think so. When I communicate, of course, when I'm happy and everything's good, it's great, right? I usually don't have any problems. When I'm frustrated or I feel some type of way, I always try to express myself. I have a little saying that I say that you don't ever have to wonder where you're at with me because I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna talk about it. If you offended me, I'm gonna try to express myself. Now with that, there's are some strengths and weaknesses, and I feel like for me, a weakness of mine is if I get like super angry, I shut down. And I think that that could be good and bad. I shut down because I don't want to say anything that I don't mean, right? I don't want to say anything to hurt someone that I love. And when we get mad, you could just say that. You could just say it. And, words are something you could never take back. So I try to be careful, but sometimes shutting down when I need to address it, could be an issue for me. So what about you? Do you think you are a good communicator? And what are some of your strengths and weaknesses?
So I think I am a good communicator when I want to be. And that is my problem. I pick and choose when I want to be a good communicator.
I appreciate honesty.
I'm just being honest. So when I am communicating well, I'm definitely a good listener and I'm very compassionate. And I definitely listen to understand and not to just respond. But when I'm not trying to be a good communicator, which is usually when I'm pissed off, I shut down one, so I don't communicate at all. I'm very big on silent treatment. Like I will, yeah, I'm good. And I also will listen to respond. So, have you ever seen like those memes where they say you can't ask a guy two questions in one text? Like you have to.
Yes.
I'm like one of those people. Like I'm gonna focus in on what you're saying that I really want to respond to, even though you said a billion other things. Right. I was like, wait, but you said what?
Right.
Oh yeah, no. So I'm responding to that one thing that really pissed me off, even though you said, 100 other things. Right. So that's definitely a weakness for me when it comes to communication.
Okay, and I think for me too, number one, when it comes to men, let's just be real. You cannot text them more than one question. They only go answer that. Either the last one or the worst one. Like either that.
Or the one that you really don't want to answer to. Like that extra one you threw in there, they're going to answer that one. Like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but husbands do it too. So don't think not just friends and boyfriends, husbands as well. So absolutely.
We're gonna have to deal with it forever, huh?
Doomed.
Let's talk a little bit. So when me and Jalen were looking up different things about communication and what the experts have to say out there about it, because we don't want to just come to you guys with just us, because we're not perfect, we're not experts. So we did we did some research that we will get to later on, but we want to start with something that was very surprising to me. It's something called the 7, 38, and 55 rule. that about communication and emotions. That is saying that 7% of communication is verbal. 7%
That is
is
not a big number.
not at all. Not at all. 38% is communicated through your tone of voice, which is big for me. And then 55% is communicated through body language.
Which is big for me because my face is going to tell you that I'm pissed way before I verbally tell you that I'm pissed.
Which is crazy though to think about, which means that like when you're talking to somebody, 7% is literally what you say, which means it's everything else surrounding it. Like that is huge for me. I was shocked by that. I mean, I've heard that like most of communication is body language, but to see it broke down like that, that was a little shocking to me. I'm like, dang, I gotta work on these facial expressions, my energy, because when I'm irritated, I feel like everybody can tell.
Absolutely.
And you know, like everybody can tell, I can't hide it. And you know, I'm the queen of I'm good, and you're really not good. You know, I'll be like I'm fine, and it's like now you kind of understand those moments when you see like those percentages.
I also think that because the verbal percent is so small, that just shows that you have to really be able to effectively express yourself
Yeah.
because it's only so much that they're getting from you verbally. So if that whole 7% that they're getting verbally is some BS anyway, they really didn't get anything. So that just goes to show like communication is really big because you need to be able to verbally express what you're
Right.
trying to say.
And on top of that, have your body, mind, and soul match what's coming out your mouth as well.
It's a
Um,
whole job
it's a whole job to communicate effectively.
just to communicate.
Right. There is a there is something that says there are four different communication styles. Me and Jalen are going to go over what those communication styles are, um, in a little bit, talk about a little bit about each one. So the first one is aggressive communication. I think that one is probably one of the most self-explanatory ones, but I'm gonna read it. What it says, it basically says the tendency to be hyper-focused on your own emotions, often using a raised voice, hostile body language, and or biting your words. I want to talk about this one a little bit because literally in all that I do, I call it I talk with passion, right? So like when I'm frustrated, I have been told to where people think that I am yelling or that I am being aggressive, and I really don't be yelling. So like this one, I be mad because I feel like sometimes it's getting misconstrued with me, and I be like, y'all, I'm just talking with passion. Like I be feeling what I'm saying, you know, with everything in me. So sometimes that can be misconstrued, but of course trying not to yell and talk over people and all that stuff that you know what being aggressive means, um, is one style of communicating we want to avoid as much as possible. The next one is passive. This is the tendency to deny your own needs, emotions, or opinions, often emotionally dishonest and or accept the blame for everything. This is a scary one because if you are too passive, too much, like people gonna run all over you, whether that's in communication and your needs and expressing yourself. Like you gotta be able to talk and communicate how you feel because you don't want people running over you in conversations, especially when it comes to emotions.
Okay. So the next two are passive aggressive.
Mhm.
So passive aggressive is basically when you start out passive, so you're able to effectively communicate, and then later you express your emotions through aggression. So it kind of goes from I'm good, I'm sorry, whatever, and then goes into no, you're wrong, this into like a full blown argument. And then the last one, which I think is the best way to communicate, of course, we all don't do this, but it's assertive. So you're being direct, you're clear, you're empathetic, and the whole point of the conversation is for both of you to be understood. So you want the other person to understand you, but you also want to make sure that you're understanding them. So it's like a mutual agreement that we're, going to have good communication and make it through this conversation. And we both feel like we're important at the end of the conversation.
So reading that, everybody in the comments, can y'all say, does any one of those sound familiar to you and how you used to communicate or how you communicate currently? I think, I ain't trying to toot my own horn. I think I did and dab in the assertive most of the time, but sometimes I can only talk about the criticism. Sometimes when I'm angry is maybe the aggression a little bit when I'm trying to express my point.
I think I'm assertive when I am communicating well. And I think I don't think, I'm definitely passive aggressive when I'm not communicating well because I always try to start off real good and then, don't always end so well.
Like that. It'd be like that. So speaking of that, with it like not always ending well, as we all have had many of communication experiences where shit didn't go well, excuse my language.
Absolutely.
In your marriage or even in marriage, family, friends, whatever, how do you not go too far? Or do you think there is a such thing of like fighting fair and things like that? How do you not go too far when you're angry with communication?
Oh, so I think I expect, well, I'll start with my marriage and my friends too, actually. So I feel like when you know someone and you have a relationship with that person, especially like a genuine relationship where you guys know each other on a personal level, you kind of already know what is going too far. You do. And a lot of times you go too far when you're attempting to hurt the person. And that's just my opinion.
That's huge.
So if I know that you're sensitive to the fact that you got cheated on before and we're in an argument and I go to that or I bring that up or I say the way you're acting, I no wonder somebody cheats on you.
Ooh,
like
wait.
you're going, like you're hitting below the belt. And I feel like that's not fighting fair because at that point.
Oh man.
What?
Okay, go ahead. We lost
okay
for a second. We'll be back.
okay. So I think knowing how to fight fair a lot of times is knowing when to step back and to stop fighting altogether.
Yes. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nope, that was it.
Okay. And for me, I think I literally pride myself in this area because it took a lot of practice for me not to hit below the belt or say things that I don't mean, because words, you can always apologize for them, but you can never take them back. If you tell me some hurtful mess to me, like that's why XYZ, this is how I feel about you, I'm never gonna forget that. Like, cause I feel like I'm gonna always feel like deep down, that's how you truly feel.
Absolutely.
That's how I feel. Like you can never take words back. So for me, I don't really hit below the belt unless I'm saying some factuals and actuals, and I'm gonna stand on all 10 of those, whatever, because I ain't perfect. But it's not gonna be nothing like I don't usually have to say, "Oh my bad, I'm sorry for saying that. I didn't mean that." Like I usually have those conversations because I've literally trained myself in these almost 31 years I've been on this earth to not do that. So I really don't hit below the belt. So, but that don't mean I may not say nothing that don't hurt your feelings, because I'm also very blunt. But I just always try not to hit below the belt. Or if you tell me something in confidence, when I'm mad, don't bring it up. Or if you fall out with a friend, don't tell their business. Like I don't
right.
do that, and I never really have. So I try to fight fair as much as possible. And I'm gonna get to one of my struggles when it comes to fighting fair when we get to one of these next parts.
Okay. So were you done with fighting fair? Okay. So we definitely didn't want to just talk about how we fight fair. We wanted to go into some tips to help you guys with fighting fair, because I think at least at some point everyone has struggled with fighting fair and not hitting below the belt, and just being able to effectively communicate in an argument, because even when you're arguing, there is a way to effectively communicate. So the first tip is to maintain control. So that's taking a break. That's recognizing when you're about to lose it. That's knowing when the conversation is not going down a healthy road. and that you need to just stop, pause. Maybe we talk about this later in a couple hours. Um, the second one is to never interrupt.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of just goes back to listening to understand, and not respond. So make sure that you allow the person to get out what they're trying to say. And when I was looking through the tips, one of the tips that went with that one was that when you're having a conversation or argument, that you use um, a toy mic or just some type of object. And whoever
Mm-hmm.
has the object has the floor. If you don't have the object, you can't talk
Mm.
at all. No words.
Listen, I think that could be very beneficial if you are in a relationship, no matter what type of relationship, family relationship, romantic, whatever. If you guys struggle with interrupting each other, that could be very crucial. And sometimes we may have to do that to make it work with our loved ones, right? Hand them a cup. I'm gonna use my coffee cup right now. Hand them a cup. Without this cup, don't say nothing. You,
Nothing. I really like that.
yeah, me too. I like that one a lot.
And then the last tip was do not bring up the past. So usually when you're bringing up the past, that takes away the focus of the actual argument. We could be arguing about the color of the sky, and now you're talking about when I pissed you off 2 months ago. That has nothing
Mm,
to do with what we're talking about right now. And
right.
it also shows that there's some type of underlying forgiveness, that you don't forgive your partner,
Mm,
underlying unforgiveness
right.
in your relationship. So now we got a bigger problem. It don't even matter about the sky no more. Why are you still mad about something that you said you weren't mad about anymore?
Right.
So yeah, those are the 3 tips I
Um,
had.
there's two more. One, so when you are arguing or having those tough conversations, be mindful not to criticize. So do not criticize is tip number 4. That's taking them little low blows. I'm trying to express why I'm mad. I'm taking shots. Like you really a liar though, but X, Y,
Right.
Z. So just be mindful not to criticize, to fight fair. And the last one is apologize. Oh, this is huge.
Very
Um,
big.
it is so hard for people to apologize when they are wrong. And speaking about apologizing, I always tell the people that I communicate with, even if you feel like you were not wrong or that your intention was good, if it offended the person that you care about, you can apologize for offending them, and then explain your intent and what you really meant. And I think that's very important. Like once I'm offended, your intention no longer matters. Your
Correct.
intention was good, but that ain't how it came across to me. And now that I am offended, I feel like as a person who cares about me, you should apologize. So don't be too mighty to apologize, or don't feel like just because you had good intentions, you don't have to apologize, because at times we still do, all the time. And that used to be a struggle for me when I was growing up. I hated apologizing if I felt I wasn't wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize all day. But that was a pride thing for me. If I wasn't wrong, I'd be like, hell no, I ain't apologizing. But I had to learn, because it's not about me being wrong or right. If I offended somebody, that's what becomes important, is that I offended somebody that I care about. So
You
those,
know, oh, sorry.
now go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm the complete opposite. Like if I know that I hurt somebody's feelings, even if I told the truth, like I have to apologize because I feel like I'm uneasy.
Mm,
That I know that you feel some type of way about what I said. Now I'm definitely gonna say, I don't apologize for what I said, but maybe how I said it, or
right,
maybe when I said it,
right.
it might not have been a good time, or you might not have been in a place to receive what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely going to apologize just so we can try to move forward.
Right.
So speaking of apologies,
Mm-hmm.
for all of our loyal people that have been with us from the first couple episodes, you know that we talked about love languages. And so the same guy who wrote the book, The Five Love Languages, Gary Chapman, he wrote a book about the five apology languages. And so basically, it's very similar to the love language, but this is just how you effectively apologize, and how you effectively receive apologies when
Mm-hmm.
someone has wronged you. Um, and he states that knowing the language helps both parties feel heard and feel valued when it's time to apologize to your loved one. So I'm definitely going to make sure that we drop the link somewhere so that you guys can take your apology language quiz. And once you do, you guys come back and tell us what your language is. But we're definitely gonna just discuss the 5 apology languages. So the first one is just simply expressing regret. I'm sorry. I apologize. Just real simple. Just starting the conversation of saying sorry to your loved one. And then the second one is accepting responsibility. And this is super huge for me. So I was wrong, or I'm sorry for claiming that responsibility, not just saying, oh, I'm sorry, but this is what I did and this is why I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. The next one is making restitution. So this is like, I apologize, and what could I do to make it better? That is huge for me, which kind of coincides with my love language being acts of service, which is actions. You got to do something. Like, so if you coming to apologize, I need to know how is this never going to happen again? After that is genuinely repenting. So this is like saying, I'll try not to do that again. I apologize. I understand this hurts you. I won't do it again. I won't express myself like this again. I won't move like this before, just genuinely showing repentance. And the last one is requesting forgiveness, which is obviously, will you please forgive me? I hurt you. Can you ever forgive me for this? So those different apology languages, and I didn't know about this until we started talking about the love languages, and somebody told me about it. And I didn't know which one was my primary apology language. I was like, which one do I need? And I started thinking or assuming which one did I think it was. And I took the test. We're gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna read a little bit about what it says, because I'm pretty sure if I didn't know, a couple people who are watching this probably didn't know what their language was. So my primary apology language, which was 40%, was making restitution, which is saying, a person who speaks this love language feels the same way towards apologies. They believe that in order to be sincere, the person who is apologizing should justify their actions. The partner who's been hurt simply wants to hear that their counterpart still loves them, and how to complete an act of restitution. So for me, that's huge. I need you to apologize, mean that shit, and tell me what we need to work on to not do it again.
Okay.
What was yours, Jayla?
So my apology language is accept responsibility. And now I have to go back and look because it didn't give me a percent. So I wonder if mine was 100%, because as I was reading those questions to do the quiz, I felt like I kept picking the same answer over and over and over again. I am so big on accepting responsibility. You cannot apologize to me without saying what you are apologizing for. I won't accept it. It's not a conversation. Like, if you say I'm sorry, I'm going to say for what? That's always my response. For what? Right. You're right. Sorry for what? You apologizing for what?
Right.
It's not, for me, it's never really about you fixing it. I mean, some stuff you can fix. If you break something of mine, you can say, I'm sorry for breaking your stuff. Here's $20 to go buy a new one. But a lot of times, like, if I buy you a ticket to a concert and then you don't show up, you can't buy me another ticket. I mean, you can, but I'm pissed that you wasted my time.
Oh, yeah.
So I really need you to accept responsibility for the fact that you wasted my time. Like, my time wasn't valuable to you.
See, stood me up. I need you to do that, and also run me that money for that ticket. I need to see, like, and that's where I need you to make that restitution right there. Like,
yeah, I feel it.
My time and my money at that point.
Me, no, I'm never going to a concert with you ever again. Like, our favorite artist coming. I'm good on you. I don't want to go with you. Like, I'm going with somebody. I'll go by myself. I'm not going with you. But definitely accepting responsibility. Like, you have to own up to what you're doing. Because I feel like it's not a genuine apology if you want to tell me what you're sorry for. Are you just sorry because you know that you made me mad? Or you know
Right.
I'm expecting an apology? Like, what are you
Right.
sorry for?
Right. And that's huge for me too, which was my next highest one, which mine was 30% for accepting responsibility. So
Okay.
70% of what I need to hear is accepting responsibility and making restitution. What I was shocked about for mine was I got 0% for I got 0% for requesting forgiveness. So like you don't gotta repent to me. I ain't God. Like I got zero.
Right.
Was like, could you ever forgive me? Like that's not sincere to me because I can forgive you once you show me these actions just changing. I can forgive you once you show me that you're taking responsibility. Like you don't have to ask me or plead or beg me. How could you ever forgive me? Like no, I got 0% of those. Um,
That's hilarious.
and I also got 10%. So I think that's probably what less than a couple questions of um, expressing regret. I don't want to hear you say that you feel bad. Again, that all goes back to the same thing. You feel bad? Okay, cool. Except that
Fix
was
it.
yes, fix it. That's it. I think when you got done with your test, did you um email it to yourself?
No, is that why I didn't get the percentages?
Possibly. I was gonna say maybe you could go back and see the percentages because you might have a couple that's a zero, especially if you feel like you were answering
I'm
the
gonna
same.
go back. I'm
Yeah,
gonna pull it back up because I have it still. I should be able to pull it up on my browser. I'm gonna pull it back up. I'm gonna tell you what it says.
yeah, okay. And you guys as well, if you guys take the apology test, let us know in the comments what your apology language was. I think that's important to know. You know, if you really know yourself, you might guess what you thought it was, you know, but it's interesting to know exactly what you need when someone has wronged you or you felt wrong because just telling me you were sorry 1,000 times, I'm gonna start to believe that's a description of who you are instead of an action.
I like that.
So yeah. Um,
I like that.
and with that being said, we want to talk about some tips on how to communicate better. Overall and in general, some tips. Jalen, you want to start?
Yes, of course. Okay. So the first tip, and we have been talking about this the whole podcast. You need to be an engaged listener.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's an engaged listener is not just somebody like you can't just be listening or being quiet, but actually make sure that you understand what they're saying. If you need to ask questions for clarification, whatever
Mm-hmm.
you need to do, but make sure you're engaged, that you're making eye contact with this person, that they know that you are really listening to them. The second one is to express yourself. Um, sorry.
Yeah.
So expressing yourself. So you want to make sure that you're expressing yourself effectively, but also respectfully.
Yes.
So that
Yeah.
goes back to fighting fair. So we're not saying that what you're saying doesn't matter or what you're saying is not important, but be mindful of how you're communicating that to your whoever you're talking to, whoever you're communicating with. Not just I was gonna say spouse, but not just spouse, your friends, your family, whoever you're talking to. Be assertive in what you're saying, but just be respectful and be mindful of how the other person is going to take that.
Mm-hmm. The next one is pay attention to nonverbal signs. As we talked about this in the beginning, what was that percentage for nonverbal? That's
55.
yes, 55% is nonverbal. So that's facial expressions, eye contact, demeanors. Like if you just talking, and you see a person is checked out, they ain't even listening. Maybe you need to go back, you know, and recenter the conversation to make it, you know, obviously beneficial for both of you. The next one is control your emotions. Now we know this is easier said than done, but
Absolutely.
control your emotions when you communicate is something that I feel like probably everybody can work on. We all, you know, lose our cool sometimes, and that definitely impacts the way we communicate. And the last one is make intentional language choices. I like that one. And the example that they gave was if you're a team lead at work, right, and you need to like criticize the people under you to make them feel more like a team, use language like us and we, so everyone feels included together as a team. And that can go translate to every area, every other area. That's family, that's friends, relationship. I always use us and we, and what we need to do to grow from this or whatever, a million different examples instead of singling you or another person out. So use intentional language choice, I think, is huge. Oh, and then another thing to end that one was that they were saying that the devil was into details, which I think is huge as it goes with that. Like when you communicate, it's always that one thing you say that sometimes when you argue with somebody, they just can't let it go. Like, those little things, we got to be intentional with what we say in our choices, because some people will stick on that. Nah, you said this. And this
Right.
is how I think you mean, so we all could just practice those different things. And in the comments, we're going to go back and read some of you all's responses earlier. And you guys can comment. Do you have any tips on how to communicate better, or how to communicate effectively, or things that you work on in your personal lives and your different areas of dealing with your relationships?
Oh, you know what? I usually pull it up on my computer because then I can see more comments.
Mm. I'll start with Des. Earlier
Okay.
said that she experienced, like, she is passive aggressive most times, but she is also assertive when she want to be. I think a lot of us could relate to that for sure.
Um, I think Des is more assertive, honestly. At least when she's talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'm just her favorite. Hey, Des.
Hey, Des. um, the next one is from Soulful. That's Jaleesa. Can you see that, Jalen?
Yep.
You want to read it?
Okay, I'm passive and I'm assertive, and I agree about hitting below the belt. I feel like I'm an understanding person and know when to stay calm, so I try not to say things that's hurtful. I also have no issue apologizing. When someone starts saying hurtful things, name calling, and hitting below the belt, I'm done. My feelings matter. If I take time to care about your feelings, it should be mutual.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. That's huge right there, Jaleesa. Agrees with Jaleesa's comments about him below the belt. Yes. Okay, Jaleesa. She said, "Be impeccable with your words." She talking about the 5 agreements. I know that's where you got that from, right? That is another book for everybody. It's called The 5 Agreements. I don't remember all 5 of them right now, but that is a great book, and part of it is
Mhm.
saying being impeccable with your words. I'm assuming that's where Jaleesa's getting that from. If you have not heard of the it's the 4 agreements. I'm sorry. The four, my bad. It's the 4 agreements. So if you have not read that book or heard of that book, look into it. It helped a lot with me. Oops.
And one more thing I wanted to say, that me and my friends do, how we were talking about, like not hitting below the belt, or how to learning how to effectively communicate. We have learned that before we have a conversation with each other, sometimes you have to tell your friends what type of conversation you want to have.
Yes.
So especially me and Destiny do this all the time. So if Destiny just wants to vent to me, she doesn't really want my response. She's not asking for anything extra. She'll start the conversation with that. Like, I don't want you to tell me that, I don't want you to communicate to me how this is gonna be good or bad or whatever. Just listen.
Listen.
That's
All right.
it. And then so she'll like tell me whatever she has to tell me, and I'm just like, okay, well, I'm here if you want to go in depth, or, even if I have my own personal feelings about that, or I want to, communicate how I feel, or I just want to say, like, girl, no, like, don't do that. If we start the conversation and she says she just wants to vent, then that's it. And if she starts the conversation, she's like, I need you to really tell me, how you feel and what's your take on this, then we might have that hard conversation. Where I wouldn't say I have to hit below the We talked about it prior to.
I think we lost Jay. There we go. Okay. You back.
Just like a conversation I had with a friend today.
Yes. And I was gonna say me and my friends do the same. I especially do this with my mom. So mom, when you see this, my mom is a solution person, right? If I just want to vent sometime, my mom wouldn't give me a million dang solutions. So I be having to tell my mom, I just want to vent. I don't want no advice. I don't want no solutions. All I want to do is just want you to listen. My friend did it to me today. He said, Jaleesa, I know you. I already know how you feel about this situation. All I want you to do is listen to me. I want to hear your opinion. And I said, okay. So that's very important to be able to have. I try to pride myself when I'm calling my friends to vent, to try to see where they're at in their day or whatever. Because I feel like sometimes we don't do that. We just call people and just start pouring it. And you don't know where they are. Like sometimes I don't have the energy or the emotional space to deal with somebody else's bullshit for the day.
Absolutely.
Especially with my job. Like I deal with people problems all day. Like sometimes it's just too much for me. You know what I mean? So my friends can attest that's on here. I will call my friends and be like, you feel like hearing my bullshit? Like that's what I call it. Like, cause I need to talk. And sometimes the answer can genuinely be no. I'm having a rough day today. My friend, like I said when we first started, I've had a rough last 2 weeks, I'll be honest, and communication has been big for me. And I noticed that with my friend Charles, who in the comments, I was calling him, and because I had so much going on every day, I was calling him just talking. As soon as he say hello, I'm like, let me tell you, and then I realized, I'm like, hold up, stop doing that.
Right.
I said I usually pride myself on the most, good days to make sure my friend is ready to hear that, and not obligating people to just listen to you, And I came to him, he could attest, and I said, friend, I apologize because I've been doing that these last couple of days. He was like, you good and all that stuff. But I was like, no, I wasn't good. I ain't even asking you how your day. I'm just calling you. So just be mindful. And sometimes maybe we got to even pour to different people. Like for instance, if you're having a bad week and there's a lot of shit going on, maybe don't call that same friend all the time. Like switch it up. Tell somebody else this day, give them a little break. You know what I mean? So just, it's all learning lessons when it comes to communication. Like I said, I'm part of it. I was experiencing that this week, which is part of the reason why I wanted to talk about communication, because it's so important in like every facet.
I'm glad you said that, because I was gonna say, one of my newer friends, because I never did that. So I'm learning to do that now. But I never did that. I was always like, when I call you, I need you to listen, because when you call me, I'm gonna listen. But I noticed she'll call me and like we'll have like maybe a regular conversation, just hey, how you doing? Then she'll be like, so I need to talk to you about this. Is that okay? Are you in a good headspace? And I'm just like,
Right.
yeah, like, because I'm so used to, if you call me and you want to talk, like, I will put my feelings to the side to deal with your problems. And she just kind of taught me, like, it's okay to say, I can't today.
Yes, yes.
I cannot.
That is so huge. That is so huge, Jalen. Because I'm the same way. I can, for the most part, no matter what, if you call me, I'm here. My friends on here know that. If you call me, it don't matter what I'm going through. I can put my stuff to the side. But here recently, I just can't. And it's like, and you have to learn that it's okay, but you're not battling, feeling like a bad friend, or significant other, no matter what it is, relationship, but feeling like a bad person because I'm not there for you. But sometimes you just got to realize where you at. Today, I am at my emotional cap. I can't take nothing else.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But when I'm in a better space, I got you and I'm going to call you back. And I got
for
you.
real, though.
That's so important, because when you stressing, when you got your own stuff going on, and then people start pouring on you, that could break you. Especially if you're one of those friends like me. Like, I kind of take on my friends' problems sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I make that problem mine. Like, what I need to do to help. We take action, right? What I need to do. It just becomes a lot sometimes when you are at your emotional cap.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I could do it, and sometimes I've recently been learning I can't. Like, I can't even listen to nobody else shit.
Angela said sometimes you only have the mental space for your own issues.
Say that.
And that is so true. Like, sometimes you have to learn healthy boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
with your friends and with everybody.
Yes.
And I'm actually working on that right now, learning healthy boundaries, just saying like I can't. And that and I think a lot of times we don't want to tell our friends that we can't because it's looked at as like being disloyal or not being a good
Or
friend
not.
or
Yeah.
yeah, when really it's just I'm probably not about to give you good advice anyway because mentally I'm not there. So I might can listen to you, but I like mentally I don't have the capacity to handle my shit and yours. I just don't.
Just not today.
Just
I,
not to,
not today.
maybe tomorrow. If you're still
Right.
dealing with this tomorrow, we might can revisit.
Right. I do that with my mom too, because sometimes, with me living in Georgia, when it comes to like family drama, and things that happen, sometimes I'll be like, my mom will tell you if she's on here watching or she'll comment later. My mom will tell you, I'll be like, nope. I was like, Mom, I ain't got it today. Like, I got a lot to do today. Because it's like, it's hard for me to start stressing about stuff in California when I'm all the way in Georgia. I'll be like, nope, not today. I'll be like, so I will have to do that because, it's so important to protect your peace and your energy, especially
Absolutely.
going through it, is so important, you guys. So for all of our friends, it seems like me and you have some of like the same type of friends and the loyalty and stuff when it comes to our friendships. I mean, just from my interaction with you, we're very similar in that regard. So all our friends probably relate to that, and being in that space sometimes.
Kasani, mine doesn't either. Kasani said my mom does not like when I can't talk, instant attitude.
Girl, my mom
My
call me.
mom doesn't like it, or she doesn't like when she calls me like with any type of issue, and I'm like, Mom, it's not that serious. She's like, okay, let me call you back. I
I'm
need to
like,
find somebody that knows it's serious.
right. Do y'all mamas call y'all 1,000 times? Just know if I don't answer my phone, my mom blow me up.
You know what? So my mom does not call me multiple times, but she will call me. She'll leave a voicemail. And depending on how important it is, she'll call my husband. Like, where's Jalen? I'm
Right.
looking for Jalen. But she won't call a million times. But I'm really good with answering. Like my phone is usually always by me. So unless I'm asleep or in the shower, I usually have my phone. And I can answer, send a quick text.
Right.
So she's not bad. I call her 1,000 times though, because if I call you and you don't answer, where you at? What you doing? Who you with? Are you alive? Like
Right.
now my anxiety is through the roof. I need you to answer. She'll answer like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I'm like, "Oh, you're alive. All right, call me later."
Probably later. Right.
And leave voicemails. Yeah, yes, my mom will leave a voicemail like, "Hey, this is mom. Call me back."
I'll be back. Then my mom left. She'll go to my mom is called my friend, anyways. But I mean, it's a little different because I think I'm in Georgia. I'm in Georgia and she's in Cali. So my mom be thinking something happened to me if I ain't answering my phone.
Yes. No, seriously. That's so funny that Kasani is on here because one time Kasani's mom couldn't get in touch with her and she called me and I'm supposed to be, like helping the mom. I'm freaking out too. I'm calling people. I'm like, where is Kasani? But she was just
Oh,
somewhere where she didn't have service. So I'm
oh,
like, your mom called me freaking out. And I'm like, I know that Kasani and her mom talk a lot. So I'm like, if you haven't talked to your mom all day, now mentally my mind is, going crazy.
Cassandra, that must be a Cali thing with us not living in California with our parents. Cause my mom do the same thing. She's called my friends multiple times, and she'll write on my Facebook wall like, "If I'm not answering, I'm not gonna see any of that." She said,
Kasani said we did the most that day.
"Girl, they be tripping, huh?"
We found you though. Can I say that? We found her alive and well. So we did not do the most, Kasani. We were just showing how much we love you. We were
Oh,
effectively communicating with each other to find your location.
yes, effectively communicated.
That's what we were doing.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that pretty much wraps up this episode. I think I learned a couple things. I hope you all did too watching. Again, if you guys are watching this after, please interact with us throughout the live. We will come back and interact with you all throughout the comments. If you guys have anything you want us to talk about or dive into in the future, we will. We will eventually. I know, was it last time, episode 5, we talked about bringing on guests. That is something we're going to eventually do. We just got to figure out how we're going to do it, especially because we do Facebook Lives. you can only bring one person. So we got to figure out a way to include some guests, because I know I got some of my friends and family be like, you need to have me on the podcast. I know they're the same. So if anybody has any suggestions about that, on like how we can do that and make this better, and how we can include guests, because I wouldn't want like one of us to get off and then let the other one in. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, how we gonna do it? So we got to make a way to make that work. I know I got a lot of feedback from episode 5 of people saying we need to incorporate some males when we're talking about relationship stuff. So I mean, we're gonna find a way to do that. Until then, if you are a male watching this, interact in the comments. Kasani
said YouTube. Okay, I'm gonna call you so you can tell us how to do that. Thanks.
And how to YouTube and put them on there. So maybe save the other videos and put them on YouTube. I do know. So let me say this too, and then we'll wrap it up. Oh, YouTube Live.
Why didn't we think of that?
I don't know. Okay, we'll talk about that after this. I'm gonna just end it on that. I'll say what I was going to say. YouTube Live. That would be interesting. We didn't talk about that. Okay, thank you, Kasani. Call her after this.
I am.
We talk about that. But thank you guys for tuning in. We will see y'all next week. And thanks for everybody who sticks throughout this whole thing, for our family and friends. You guys are so appreciated and giving us feedback and all that. This is something that we thought about doing, and because of you guys is why we're still here doing it. And I love it.
Likewise.
We love it here. So
we love it here.
Continue to support us. And we might move this thing to YouTube, is what it sounds like. So stay tuned with us, you guys. And you guys have a wonderful week this week.
And remember to communicate effectively with all of your loved ones.
Yes. Y'all have a good night.
All right.